The Entrepreneurial Journey podcast. We're talking business and building a culture that's kick-ass. Where we make it happen, grab your seat, let's have a blast. At the Entrepreneurial Journey podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey podcast. Today I have Becky with me, Becky Benfield-Humberstone. Hopefully I've got that right. And you are the founder of Brand Artisan. Tell us about what you do, Becky, and how are you, first of all?
Hi, Rebecca. Lovely to be on here. Thank you so much for the invitation. And it's lovely to be here and tell you more about my, sort of a unique business, I suppose. So the Brand Artisan, to put it simply, is basically I teach and I help people to build brands almost by hand, so they've got that sort of personal, sort of authentic, that sort of wholesome sort of feeling to them, rather than your corporate sort of that sort of edge, I suppose. That's the easiest way to put it.
I quite like the hand-holding idea of it.
Yes. So it's double. So it's handhold as in I can help you do it, or I teach you how to do it. And it's also the hand as in it's got that impression of, care and attention to detail and that sort of handmade sort of aspect to it as well.
Right. Okay. Now, and I often ask this question, not always, but when you're at school and the careers advisor said, "Now, Becky, what do you want to do with your life?" What did you tell them at that point in time?
Well, I have to say mine's actually a bit different because I already knew about that point I was leaving. So I left at 16 and I started my first business when I was 16.
Cool.
Actually, slightly before. So in my sort of that year, I used to collect models of horses. Sounds weird, I know. Hence, there's a story to there. So literally while I was at school, I'd be trading, selling things on eBay, collect models, sell them to the state. Because obviously we used to have like UK exclusives over here. So I used to go and find them and resell them. So there was a bit of an entrepreneur thing sort of there. But that evolved into me actually then setting up a business selling models of horses. Quite unique niche business, I have to say. But we actually then grew it into, we were the largest retailer in Europe, about 2,500 items. We should travel all around the world sort of with it, going to all these different sort of, I suppose you can call them nowadays like convention sort of things for these sort of markets. So that actual business then evolved again. We actually then started making our own range of models, which if anybody's watching, these are some of them behind me.
Wow.
So we actually then had a factory out in China. We were manufacturing out there. So I was back and forth visiting the factory and sort of, designing all the ranges and everything like that. So so that's where it's sort of, so from school, yes, that's where it's kind of come from.
That's so cool. And when I came to interview you, I had no idea about any of that. I was going to ask about the horses, but that's fantastic. So, okay, you're 16. There's lots of things about that. Did you come from an entrepreneurial family? Was it in your blood? What?
Yeah, no, a family. I had family businesses anyway. So as kids, we were always on the board, always in meetings, always sort of just part of that. But actually, when I went to leave school at 16, the school kind of not refused, but were very resistant to me actually going. So much so that my parents had to get involved to actually sort of extract me from the school, which was an interesting one. But no, I think it's just something you grew up with, really. And so it's sort of, in the blood almost in a way.
Yeah.
And just one of those things.
And what were the challenges at 16 of running a business and doing all of that stuff?
Well, I think at 16, I mean, back then I couldn't have a bank account. You weren't allowed. Right. So that was, staff things, whereas nowadays you can. Yeah, you can. Back then you couldn't do it. And obviously for me as a 16-year-old girl, in charge of a business, it wasn't. It's not as common as it's better nowadays, but back then you were looked at with like, stop being so silly and go do something normal sort of thing. And I think also because it was in such an unusual niche of business, again that you had another layer of sort of questionability, I suppose is one way to put it.
Yeah. And how did you get into horse models?
It's something I just always collected as a child, and then it just then obviously snowballed from there. So I got in touch with, there was somebody that was the only retailer in England at the time. I got in touch with them and started sort of said, look, could we work together? And then I ended up buying them out, and it just then.
That is so cool, because I used to collect key rings, but at no point did I ever think, I know I'm going to sell them and then I'm going to just make key rings. So it's that's I love interviewing entrepreneurs, because it's that thing. I know I collect them, and so many people would never go, oh, and now I'm going to sell them. Was that just an instinctive thing for you, do you think? Or
I think it is. Even now, I'll see something and think, oh yeah, let's do that as a business. To be honest, my problem is I have so many possible businesses. It's probably it's trying to rein it back in. So I think it's always having that thing of seeing the opportunity in anything. I think that's just sort of an ingrained sort of, it's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the horse sort of business, we sold them, but then we ended up we did a 3-day festival up at Newmarket. So we hosted a whole event and brought collectors from all over the globe together. I mean, they were flying in from the States and from Germany, and when you sort of think of it now, your mind sort of goes, gosh, did I actually really do that? But yeah, no, we did. And we used to make models of the famous horses. We did all some movie premieres and did all that sort of stuff as well. So again, almost in a funny way, I've had quite a few chapters. This is probably my third or fourth, I think.
That's amazing. I'm actually laughing inside, because Alison, who edits our podcast, is a massive horse fanatic.
There you are.
So she's going to be loving this. And she what was the horse model business called?
So it was called Utterly Horses.
Okay.
And our tagline was the home of the model horse. So that's what we were known for. Literally, if you wanted a model horse, that's where we were the people for.
And what happened to the business? Where is it now?
Well, this I'm saying, it evolved into our own manufacturing business, which we called Copper Fox Model Horses.
Okay.
And to do that, to the evolution, we actually then crowdfunded as well. So again, another sort of something else we tried, successfully crowdfunding that. So that was where we got the money to raise the capital for the first production runs from there as well. So, but the actual business is still going now. It got sold to somebody in the States, so it's still living on, but under a new owner at the moment. So
oh, that's amazing. And how old were you when you exited?
So we did that for at least 20 odd years. So, so we were in that sphere for a long time. I think it just got to the point we just kind of needed a change, and probably just a different challenge, and it was just time to sort of, change really. So actually, weirdly, after that, I went corporate for 3 years.
Did you?
Yes, I know. I was like, I got a proper job, which is exactly. But so I went and ended up working for the Imperial War Museum.
Wow. Okay, so a proper job, but not really in a.
No. But you see, because obviously I left school and I didn't have anything. I could probably do the job, but I didn't have it on paper that you could do the job. So I ended up going in as an assistant, and then ended up leaving as the assistant manager. So and of course, and that was more leaving. I left because that, as you say, that bug of, opportunity was there in the background, and obviously within that sort of environment, there's only so far you can push it, and sort of, well, why can't we do this? Well, you can't do that because that's not what we do. And you think, well, no, actually, you should be doing it this way because there's so much more you can do. That sort of those conversations. So it's funny how once it's in you, it's really hard to sort of it quietens down, but then it reappears. And
I've often talked to my corporate friends about this. It's like, how can you sit in meetings and not say these things? And they go, well, you just get used to it. I'm like, there's no way I could sit in a meeting and not say these things.
No.
Because they're blindingly obvious and need sorting out. And I just can't sit back. And they go, yeah, you'd kind of just have to not say anything. I'm like,
and I think that's the problem for people that had that sort of entrepreneurial spirit. It's really frustrating, and it's almost just there's no logic in it for you. You're just like, well, why are you doing it the complete backward way when actually this way, there's so much more you can be doing, and why aren't you maximizing this out?
Yeah.
It's just the way I think some people are wired just to look at it differently, which is
yeah, absolutely, totally agree. So 20 years manufacturing. I love the fact that employers in the corporate world go, well, you've not got certain letters after your name and you've not done this job title, therefore you're going to have to start as an assistant.
Yes.
You're like, okay, so building a business from the age of 16, setting up a manufacturing business in China, that must have been an absolute breeze, Becky. Really straightforward, no problems there at all.
Well, that was it. And that was kind of, for a little bit, that was nice because you didn't have that sort of responsibility almost. You just turned up, did the job and went home, which was nice for probably a little while. But then you just got a little bit, no. The itch was there, it just never disappears. But no, on the, because I didn't have those letters after my name, you couldn't do much. I mean, in between time, I did actually study and get a degree anyway, just because I thought, oh, why not? Let's just try it out. So, but at the time,
what did
I
you
didn't
get your degree in?
I actually did it through the Open University. I got an open degree, so it meant I could pick and choose. Just different ones, which is I recommend it to anybody actually, because you did. So I did like design, I did creative writing, I did some sort of business sort of studies as well. So you can pick and choose different things, and it still is a degree at the end of the day. It just means you're not a degree in a specific sort of thing. So
I've interviewed so many entrepreneurs now. We're up to about episode 170 odd, I think. And one of the things that keeps coming through is this sense of curiosity that entrepreneurs have, not just for the business that they're in, but for all other kinds of areas in life. You've mentioned creative writing, sort of business as well, but other things that just design that just aren't necessarily part and parcel of the business design for you. I can get that with the horse thing. And it's I think there's something about an entrepreneurial thinker. I think if we went back in time, I think somebody like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci would have been counted as entrepreneurs.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, because of this sort of general curiosity about everything. And I think that's part and parcel of our makeup, without a shadow of a doubt. So 3 years at the Imperial War Museum must be quite interesting, actually, seeing behind the scenes. What was that like?
It was interesting, I think, in a good and bad way, if that makes sense. Good, because there was a big team there. I mean, I was working at the Duxford site, which is obviously aviation. And planes sort of coming and going, which is, something I'm interested in anyway.
Yeah, quite
but
cool.
the thing, I think also what was quite thing is where you think these organisations run really sort of smoothly and slickly, but behind the scenes, it's a different story. And you realise it's all about the team, putting on that sort of front, and how they pull together is actually what sort of keeps it sort of running. It is about the people that you've got in certain places and things like that. So, but no, I think, as you say, the curiosity, I think that's definitely something we all have. I mean, I don't know if you can see behind me, there's books, but this is I'm actually in the library, so this actually continues all the way around. So we've fascinated about anything and everything, I think, and I think it's also taking those ideas and then translating them into different arenas. So you sort of take an idea from somewhere else, or something, and then you sort of translate it into a different sort of industry, which I think is probably another sort of aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for listening, everybody. Did you know at tricres we've built a kick-ass culture coach and consultant program? So if you're a business coach or consultant and you're looking for something new, add to your toolbox, or even escape the 9 to 5, join us at our next event. Links in the information on the podcast. See you there. We train coaches and consultants, and one of the things I'm always saying to them is go and listen to other stuff. Don't just listen or read businessy, coaching-y, leadership type books. Go and read completely different things and watch completely different things that are totally unrelated, because actually that's where you get your best ideas.
Yes.
It's that what do they call it? Is it divergent thinking or lateral thinking? I'm not sure which. But it's joining those dots with the other and pulling on different threads. I think that's the key, definitely. Okay, so you left the Imperial War Museum, and then what happened, Becky?
Well, I did that classic thing of that during lockdown. That was my classic move in lockdown. That was thrown in there. So I actually then changed during lockdown and started to be a virtual assistant, a VA from home, because that was the most logical sort of move to think.
Yeah.
And then
it's overqualified.
Well, that's what I think I discovered because what I was doing is doing these jobs, and then they just get bigger, and I'd find out more things, and you just then start repackaging it in a different way, offering. And I think over the time I've learned that my skills are in that branding sort of set, but branding in a sense that it covers more than just sort of the basic foundation. I sort of take it into the marketing side and also the copywriting side, how you sort of get that brand message and sort of just branding in general across all those different sort of pillars, really. So that's where I am today. So yes.
Yeah, we call it the brand architecture. It's part and parcel of what we take our clients through and our coaches take our clients through, is that once you've built the foundations of the purpose, vision and values, then you've got to build the narrative, the imagery, the story, like you say, the copy, how you approach the market from that.
Correct.
And it has to be seamless, because if your audience sees something that jars with what they think you are, you lose them, don't you?
Oh yes. And you want to retain as many as possible. And I think, but that's what it is about, joining those dots up.
Yeah.
Because I think where it's come from, I've worked with a lot of clients that have they've outsourced to different people for different jobs.
Yeah.
And then that is good and bad in equal measure, because it's all right if they, everybody understands what their role is and how they fit together in the puzzle. But if nobody's looking at how the pieces are going together, that's when you get the sort of the dissonance and the sort of, it's just hasn't got that, as you say, seamless sort of approach.
Yeah.
Whereas where I come at it is that, you literally start at the beginning and look at where we're going, and then figure out, okay, how can we get that in there, and what have we got to do, and just join up all the pieces.
And what kind of businesses do you work with?
A variety. So again, it's that curiosity thing, literally as many as I can. So at the moment on my books at the minute, I've got, interestingly, so I work for an independent chain of coffee shops. So I do all their marketing and the branding, everything for them. I work for a building company as well, a fashion company. So I'm doing their brand at the minute. I've got somebody else who's a nutritionist and a health coach as well. And then I do some work for some clients in America. Most specifically, somebody's in like the movie industry as well, sort of Hollywood, which is really good, quite fun, interesting as well.
Sexy, isn't it, Becky?
I know. So, no days the same. As you say, look at the diary. Okay, what's going on today? Who am I? Which world am I in today? So and this is the thing, you get to learn about weird, wonderful things. So I can probably tell you more about coffee than the average person, or in building, why we do certain things a certain way, or what things are called, and that's what I really enjoy, is learning all those weird things. You just being able to deep dive and really understand what their business is about.
Yeah, and I've said it before on this podcast, so it's no secret. One of the reasons I love what I do is because I'm just really nosy. I really like finding out, how does that work? What do you do?
It is that, no, but I find myself sort of asking all the weird questions. They're like, why are you asking that? I'm just like, I just want to know, just want to know. Just really nosy. And also, because you come at it, especially with different industries, you come at it from a customer angle, because you just want to ask all those weird questions that, why does it do it that way? Well, why do you do it that way? Or, things like that, which is always an interesting exercise to do.
Now, a lot of our listeners are growing entrepreneurs, growing their businesses. How do clients find you, or how do you find your clients?
So most of the minute it is mostly all referrals, sort of. I'm one of those unfortunate classics, doing your own stuff is really hard.
Yeah, it is very.
So 2024, it's all about actually trying to put more emphasis on trying to do my own things as well.
That's
so
good.
But no, at the minute, most have all been referrals or sort of word of mouth, which is always the best way to sort of get new clients. I think it's supposed to be 70% more likely, because obviously it's almost like a pre-referral. So
it is. Yeah, it is. My entrepreneurs out there listening will go, but yeah, how did you get your first client?
First client, it's just about your network. So literally just asking the people in your network, friends, family, do you know of anybody that needs somebody, or can I help you on this? Or it's just having those conversations, which sounds really simple, but it kind of sometimes the most simple things are the ones that work.
Absolutely do. Yeah, they really do.
It is just about, networking. If you haven't got anybody, just find a group or somebody local, or even just drop somebody if you follow on Instagram. Say you follow somebody you really admire on Instagram, just drop them a message and ask, how did you get started? Have you got any pointers or tips or whatever? And you'll find that usually they will answer, or if they don't, try somebody else and just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you just tell everybody. You tell everybody, and you're absolutely right. Do you know anybody who might? Well, I'm starting this out, and I think when you're starting out, a lot of people want to help you, don't they?
Oh gosh, yeah. No, they do, and I think it's also being willing to accept the help. Take as much as you can absorb. Basically, be a sponge and literally as much help as you can get, and people are willing to offer, then run with it, because you never know where it goes. You see, you never know who knows who, or where where it can take you. So say yes to everything, and then panic later when you've got too much work, and then you can refine. It's better. It's easier to scale back than to go upwards. So So
yeah, I agree. There was a guy, we had him on to talk about networking. Guy called James West, I think it was, from Only Networking, and he said, look, don't dismiss somebody in our network. He said, we've got a woman who does aromatherapy oils, and people are quite dismissive. Oh, that's not a proper business, blah 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 blah. It's massive business, aromatherapy oils anyway. And somebody was having a conversation with her and needed a highfalutin connection in a big corporate, really senior, and she went, oh yeah, I used to work there, I know them really well.
I know, this is it. You never know that person in front of you, or who they know, or what they know. It's just treat everything like an opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so the reason we came across you is because you went in for the Great British Entrepreneur Awards, and before we came on, we discovered sadly you didn't win. You were robbed, Becky.
That's all right. I've got quite a few already. It's the taking part. No, to be honest, I use business awards as a way. I use it to review my business, actually, because when you sit and have to answer those questions, it's actually a really good time to actually sort of take stock and think, actually, what am I doing? Where am I going? What's the idea? So that's what I enter them for. I mean, I've entered them since the beginning. So all those years ago. And I remember my first business award was, they used to give out those big checks. Do you remember those massive checks?
Yes, I do.
Yes. So that was my first one. I remember that.
That's cool. Did you win money then? Did they
actually? Back then, what it was like one of the young entrepreneur ones. It was a very early. I don't think they still exist now, but they did have a little prize money of some description. But right back in the very beginning.
It wasn't Shell Livewire,
it was. Yes. See.
I remember Shell Livewire.
Yes.
I remember feeling a bit frustrated because I started my first business when I was 27. And by the time I realised about Shell Livewire, I was too old. It was like, darn it.
I know. I think we should just make a new one. See, this is it. I'm sitting here going, right, we should just do one now. Let's just set one up. Let's just do it ourselves, Let's just make a new one.
It's true. But happily, one of your clients won, didn't they?
Yes. So one of my Toast, which is my independent chain of coffee shops. So I entered them into the awards, and they actually won. So they did win the Retail Entrepreneur of the Year for the East of England on that. I think they were very shocked, actually, very surprised, because we'd entered a number this year. Last year for them, and that was the one they actually got. So the biggest one, which is good. So
it is the biggest one. It's huge. It's like 1,500 people, aren't there?
The scale is amazing. I recommend anybody to go and just experience, because it's an amazing event to see. But it's the scale of how many entrepreneurs are brought together in that room. All that knowledge in that room. It's kind of mind blowing, really.
Yeah, it is mind blowing. I really enjoyed it. We went in 2021, and really, really enjoyed it. We've not entered for a couple of years because we've not really done anything yet that's of note. this year will be different. A bit like you, it's like you've said this year you're focusing on your business and doing that. We're doing the same, definitely getting it to scale. What are the plans for your business? Where are you going to take it?
So for me, it is just it's kind of focusing it back on me, really, sort of almost treating myself as a client. That sounds kind of odd, I know, but and looking at what the opportunities are for me. So I think I wanted to sort of teach more people how to do it. I think the thing is with them, I have a few fingers in a few pies as well. You see, so I've got the Brand Artisan. And then I also run something called Postcards from a Founder, which is kind of like a community sort of business art project. So where people share their stories on the back of a postcard, which again then gets reshared, sort of inspiring others, about their stories or what helped them overcome sort of things like that. So there's a few things like that I want us to move forward. I'm also a writer as well. So I've got a few books on the go. So it's a multi sort of dimensional approach this year for me. So
okay. Do you ever sleep, Becky?
Pencil it in. I know. This is the problem. As I said, literally multi-passionate, with bells on. So yeah.
Yeah. And are you a fiction writer or non-fiction?
Both. But I've got fiction on the go at the minute and a couple of children's books. But then down the line, hopefully there's a non-fiction in the works as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, again, can completely relate to that. Yeah, I've written fiction and non-fiction. And for me, talking about music, art, you're in design. For me, the creative outlet is writing. Is that for you too, do you think? Or is it more design?
No, it is. I think definitely the writing. I mean, you can happily get lost for a few hours just sort of, tapping away and seeing where you go, what worlds you'll delve into.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that is quite a good in this sort of, especially with work-wise as well, it is having that sort of space to think outside and sort of let, work sort of relax for a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree. Okay. You're going to be able to get this question. And I don't know whether you've listened to any of the other podcasts, have you, Becky? It doesn't matter if you haven't.
No, I've listened to a couple, so yes.
Right, well, you might know this question is coming then.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, if your business had a personality or a character, how would you describe it, or who would it be?
Oh, can it be myself?
Yeah, it can. Yeah.
Hey, cool. Yeah, so it is me. Honestly, that is me to a T. It's just the business is me. I know it's very close. It's kind of creative, spontaneous. We'll try anything and do anything, and I think it's just that inspiration to give it a go. To give it a try. No idea is a bad idea. There's always a possibility of making it work somehow, and I think that's what it embodies.
Yeah. There is, when you have the idea, there is a way to get it to work. And I like that evolution. A lot of people like the word pivot. I hate the word pivot, but actually it's more of an evolution.
Yes.
You're always building on what went before, and you're always taking out the stuff that doesn't work and just keeping the stuff that definitely did work. Yeah. No, I think that's good. And will you employ anybody, or do you employ anybody at the moment?
I don't at the minute. No, it's just me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
Which, at the minute, the size is suitable. But this is the fun thing, you never know where you're going to go and what the opportunities are. So yeah, I would never say no down the line.
Yeah.
To taking on more people and bringing that, sort of expanding that out further. But yeah, no, at the minute it's just me.
And how many staff did you have with the horse model?
The horse, we had 6 staff for them.
Yeah.
And then obviously then we had an external one that's, the factory and things like that. But yeah, as a core staff, we had team of 6.
Yeah. Really nice sized team, that.
Yeah. No, it was good. We did well on that number, and kept us busy. So
yeah, no, a lot of people will try and expand their staff, and certain sectors have to, law, architecture, that sort of thing, accountancy less now because so much is digitized. But although the lawyers may have fewer staff with AI, but anyway, the temptation is to grab staff, but actually that 6 to 8 is a really nice sweet spot for a business. You can be very, very profitable at that size. And like you say, you can still produce a lot and do a lot with that number of people.
I think you're flexible, aren't you, to adapt to whatever comes down the line. Any bigger, it's a bit like a ship. Any bigger you get, it gets a bit longer to maneuver. And I think in this sort of space, you need to have that maneuverability to sort of jump on something or quick try something out. Different ways to sort of navigate and try things out. See what works and doesn't.
Yeah, definitely. Right, amazing. That's fabulous. I love that. Thank you, Becky. I could talk to you all day, but we'd go off to, favorite author, favorite we'd just go off track, I think.
And come round again, probably.
Yeah, come round again, and I'd ask you to go through all your books, and then I'd go through my books.
Yeah. Show and tell and everything like that.
Yeah, definitely. Let's not do that. No. Right, that's amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And best of luck. And how can people find you?
So they can find me, so I'm online. So website is, so it's the W's and then thebrandartisan.co.uk, or just find me on the socials, or I'd love to connect on LinkedIn as well, because obviously that's another space as well.
Have we connected on LinkedIn?
Oh, yes.
Right, good. That's all right. Good. Excellent. Right, amazing. Have an amazing day.
You too.
Thank you so much.
The Entrepreneurial Journey Podcast. We're talking business and building a culture that's kick-ass, where we make it happen. Grab your seat, let's have